Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible one of a kind, Jeffrey Gitomer.
But find something that you love to do and then go fucking do it. I seek to be a leader. First, fix yourself. Then you can start fixing other things and other people. I help salespeople become better salespeople.
AI cannot produce emotions, but what if they will?
That word of mouth will put me in the AI Hall of Fame for salespeople. And I wanted to be first. And where's it all going? I'm going to give you the answer. No one knows. Every day you get 3 emails about AI and things you have to follow and things you have to do, but no one's telling you how to monetize it.
Jeffrey Gitomer doesn't need an introduction. He's an author of 17 books, 13 of which are bestsellers. He's done over 2,500 speeches over the course of his career. And he's one of the best, most influential sales leaders of this century. I'll be honest with you guys, I was a bit nervous before the interview with Jeffrey. While doing the research, I saw how many great interviews he gave, and I wasn't sure whether I can manage to ask some original questions, but there were a few things that I was personally curious and passionate about. So this conversation is not the typical podcast where I talk Jeffrey about his books, but it's a genuine conversation of the topics that I am passionate about, as well as based on my conversation with Jeffrey, he was also passionate about. So that's why we had a great talk that you shouldn't miss. Thank you and enjoy the episode. This is something that we've spoke a bit last time, is your phrase about you are who you are hanging out with. Right. So I want people to hang out with you and with me for the next 60, 90 minutes and then see how it goes. Yeah.
Within the next month or so, I'm going to be launching my artificial intelligence channel. And I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about what is amazing that's going on. And it's still underground. Like you hear every day, you get 3 emails about AI and things you have to follow and things you have to do, but no one's telling you how to monetize it.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you where the shortcuts are. They tell you how to tweet. They tell you how to write a chapter in a book or edit a video, but they can't tell you how to make money from it. And that's what I'm going to do. My goal is to set up a YouTube, an artificial intelligence channel based on my YouTube videos, based on my books, based on my courseware, so that any salesperson can get any answer anywhere in the world, any time of the day or night, in any language.
Just yesterday, I received from my partner a screenshot of a job posting. It's like the name is the prompt expert, AI prompt expert. That with something like $350,000 a year salary, something like that, right? So so your job is not writing a code, is to writing prompts. It's sort of like communicating to AI in the right structured manner to be able to get out of the best out of it.
You have to teach AI because it's a machine and it only knows what it knows, and it only knows how to regurgitate what it knows. Unfortunately, you can also program bias into AI. Mm-hmm. And the most difficult thing to pump into AI is emotion. There's no humor.
Right.
If you ask it for humor, it's going to say, it's not what I do. I can give you facts, but I can't make you laugh. So my AI is going to be devoid of the regurgitation. And it will give you real sales answers that are fun, and it will be avatar of me. The company that's doing me is called Hyperreal, HYPERREAL.io, hyperreal.io. The company that's backing me also has the Beatles. Just to tell you where it's going, it's going back to 1975, 1980, and resurrecting these concerts and these events that are remarkable. And Michael, you can't tell. You cannot tell the difference between real and surreal.
Mm-hmm.
So I've entrusted them to do me. But here's the secret of AI that people don't know. If you're a person like me, a regular citizen of the world, not famous by any means, other than maybe I've written a few books or I'm known in the sales world or the business world, content is everything. In other words, over the last 30 years, I've amassed 1,000 YouTube videos, 17 books, courses, articles, stuff that I've done, and all of that is put into one AI hopper so that a salesperson who is going to make a cold call can summon me up on the phone and go, Jeffrey, I'm about to make a cold call. What's my best approach? Jeffrey, somebody just said, my price is too high. What do I do? And as a salesperson, if I can get those answers and I can get them for 10 or 20 bucks a week, I'm all in. I'm all in. Mm-hmm. Now think about how many millions of salespeople there are, and then think about how you can monetize your content. What they don't tell you is that if you don't have content, you're probably not going to make much money on AI as a regular person.
Right.
But if you do have content, you can go to the bank. You can be sipping the best French wine on the planet, something by Rothschild from the bowels of French winedom, probably somewhere in the middle of the country, and not work another day, because once AI has your stuff, and once they have it saved, they can use it for 100 years. Literally 100 years.
It's an interesting thought. And, I feel like, you've spent your whole career and you've kind of generated this immense amount of content, books, thoughts. And what is interesting is like AI right now did the same revolution like the library and the books did back in the day, right? Where sort of like there was a lot of like myth, a lot of sort of like, and then you cannot sort of like get it together in the same format, right? And what AI did, they collected that everything in one database and labeled it and tagged it. So now you can use not just the book, but also the voice, the thought, the video, and all of that, and you can kind of relate to it, and then you can categorize and you can produce it in the whatever shape and form you want. And if you want to put Jeffrey's face on that, then you do that, right? And it's, I think you're right that I think that people always think about business from the standpoint of creating a product that people buy or sell. But I think before AI and even before our conversation, I didn't think of content to being also a product that sometimes you don't necessarily sell, you give away, right? And I wanted to talk today about, giving away value, but then you don't necessarily, monetize it all the time. You just kind of create and give it, right? It's interesting that we are at the point of our sort of like, technology revolution where the world giving you back, and for example, giving you back, right? Because all the amount of content you generate that now can be kind of grouped together, categorized, kind of cleaned, and created a product that is unique to you. And then you cannot create the product without the work that you've done over the last like 30, 40 years, right?
And it's usable by my group. My group is salespeople, sales leaders, and entrepreneurs who are looking to make a sale to grow their business. It's not scaled. I try to eliminate all bullshit nouns and verbs that people use to try to make their product seem better or more important. I don't use buzzwords. Content is not a buzzword. It's a definition. And I give salespeople real information that they can take out into the street 1 minute after they hear it and turn it into money. And that's all they give a shit about. They want, Jeffrey, how do I finish this sale? And how do I finish it faster? And how do I finish it easier? And what's the secret? Well, the answer is there's no secret. You become a student. And, look how you learned 2 languages. You didn't do it on your own. You needed a teacher.
Right.
And when that teacher arrived, it was like, oh my God, now it's so much easier. I can facilitate it well, that's all I am. I'm the facilitator of information about sales, about attitude, about loyalty, about value. And that's what salespeople want. And they're willing to pay me a pittance to be able to make that happen. I don't need $1 million from anybody for this. I need $10, $20, or put it into euros, 10 or 20 euros a week. If you're not willing to do that, you spend that money on coffee in the morning. Not
Right.
Starbucks in Europe, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This guy, do you know this guy? He's Ampelman in Berlin.
Okay.
Ampelman is a business.
Oh,
He's
okay.
the guy on the green light in Berlin who was turned in,
Right.
and there's also the red light.
Yeah.
And he's a business. There's
Wow.
a half a dozen Ampelman stores in Berlin. Huge in the airport because people like the little guy and they want to take home a piece of Berlin. And even if you buy a piece of the Berlin Wall,
Mhm.
Ampelman's
Yeah,
one.
there's Appleman. Who owns the license? Like, who is the
I have
trademark
no
owner?
idea.
Government?
Someone wealthy.
Do you think so? Yeah. But they have a government contract to put that on all the
Oh,
lights,
sure.
right?
On everything.
Yeah.
I know. Here. Did I buy the T-shirt? Of course I did.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
You have to. And
yeah.
I mean, I spent 150 euros in the Ampelman store. I
Right.
bought the mug. I bought the, all the little notebooks. I went crazy because it was fun. And I love Berlin. And if every city had an Ampelman, they would have no problem in display. And if you think about it, many cities try. New York City's the big apple. And so,
Yeah.
I love, and there's a heart, whatever it is, Paris. And they all have their little symbol to try to get their city not just monetized, but recognized around the world. It's
Right.
global.
Yeah. Creating brands. Yeah.
AI is going to make that way more intense because they have the ability to spread a message very quickly, very easily, and at very low cost. Very, very low cost. And everyone who's using the program teaches it something new. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. But let's sit on this for a second. So imagine I'm starting in sales and I have a book, I have a script, I have a mentor, right? And what fascinates me is now you can have an AI mentor, Joffrey, that would actually essentially teach you everything that you need to know, and will be available to you 24/7. But that's sort of like, it's scary because it's like where it's all going, right? With I'm just thinking about the Neuralink that Elon is doing with his team, and then can you upload all the data, and then now you kind of have that. So where it's all going, especially in sales, like with having access to that amount of technology, will be more efficient, effective, generate more results?
I'm going to do it for the global good because I know that will earn me the lifetime reputation. Like I didn't do it evilly. I just did it, certainly not benevolently, but because I'm a capitalist. But the bottom line is if I can help enough people, they'll pay me. And if I do it well, they will become top earners. That's what salespeople strive to do. They want to be the best in their company or in their industry or whatever. They want to rise to that level where they win the award, they go to the president's club, whatever they do, and they earn more money for their family. And that's how the world works.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. You get these big business people, they come on talk shows, big CEOs of corporations, they never thank the salespeople. How'd you get here? Well, I took a limo. No, you got there because the sales guy busted his fucking balls to be able to go out and make sales so you could have a cushy job. And that's the whole deal. That's the power behind what's running the economy are salespeople. And I'm just trying to help them get better. That's it.
Yeah.
It's my whole MO. I help salespeople become better salespeople.
It's interesting where it's all going, because imagine it's one of those, scary nightmares that I'm sure everyone has about, am I going to die for real? It's like,
exactly.
where I am going, where this mind going to go. Right. And then, I always were thinking, hey, Michael, if something, I wanted to leave a book about what I have inside me and all the thoughts that I have. And I wanted just to have that to be passed whatever generation. So it's kind of when people are reading, they have a feeling, okay, I know, I understand Michael, whatever. So it's something that left, after me, right? One of the, very basic things. But the point that I'm making right now is, what if this AI revolution would be the first step to actually digitalizing mind, right? And digitalizing the consciousness and sort of being able to reproduce it in this or that fashion. And I know you've, mentioned this already, that AI cannot produce emotions, but what if they will? What if you can actually mimic that or in some way or form? Because I was just thinking, you created so much content and, you have thousands of videos on YouTube, you have a lot of books, and essentially, if you can categorize that correctly, I might have some basic conversation with AI Joffrey very soon and have the answers with the result. And I will, right?
Yeah. Oh, you will. You'll be able to converse with me. The existing program is called Bubble, and it allows you to chat back and forth. But that will become very sophisticated very soon. And where's it all going? I'm going to give you the answer. No one knows. You can conjecture it. People think they know where it's going, but who the hell, in the end, who the hell knows? So my recommendation is enjoy what we have, figure out how to take advantage of what we now have today, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Don't be afraid of anything, because if you're afraid, you might as well go take a job as a clerk in a bakery and be happy. Run one loaf or two loaves. I mean, it's up to you as a person. So I seek to be a leader. When I saw AI, I go, oh, this is perfect for me. I'm all in. And I found a guy, by God, literally, I found a guy on accident who was the founder of this company who lives in my city, literally 10 miles away. And he wanted to meet me as much as I wanted to meet him. And so we came together a few months ago, and we love each other. We love each other for what we can do to make a positive impression with AI.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who already had Paul McCartney under contract, has the Beatles under contract, has athletes, Mike Tyson under contract, has Michael Jackson under contract. I mean, this is a guy who has the entertainment people of the world, and even current people, the Billie Eilishes of the world. And so I'm there as their content guy. And I'm going to bring in other content people so they can expose themselves to other customers and be perceived as helpful. Because unless you're perceived as helpful, you're not going to win. Unless you have depth of content, you're not going to win. So I'm looking at this from a standpoint of, okay, how can these AI geniuses or genii put something together for me that makes me transfer my information to somebody else? That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for, I don't need them to build a new empire. I just need them to build software that works for me, period.
Yeah.
And I can wake up every morning, Michael, and teach myself. I can wake up every morning with a microphone and record into a computer, and it will feed into my AI, and I can teach it even more stuff about me.
Yeah.
And it can come out in my voice right now or any voice they make it come out. And it can show any image. I'm using my 2008 image because that's the year I was elected into the Hall of Fame. My hair's a little bit darker, but it doesn't really matter. It's the fun part of it is what you learn from it, the aha part. And I want my stuff to be so good that somebody who's watching it says, Bob, come here, you got to see, Mary, come here, you got to see this. That's the winning formula. That word of mouth will put me in the AI Hall of Fame for salespeople. And I wanted to be first.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, second is first.
It's a great opportunity, right? Of course.
So if you want to come to Paris, I'll be there almost the whole month of July.
Okay.
You can give this out to your listeners. I'm recording a sales course for an online MBA program called augmentschool.com, where they're having all founders of companies, founder of Wikipedia, the founder of Shazam, the founder of Lime, the founder of Waze, the founder of Eventbrite, and they come on and they talk about what they did and how they did it. As opposed to going to a school where you learn from a teacher who's never had a job. Their job is teaching. Yeah. They don't have real world experience. I want a guy who's cashed the chips.
Right.
On the 20th of July, I get to spend a day talking to and learning from the founder of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy shit. Yeah. Where'd that come from?
It's when you said about who you hang out with, right? I am lucky to have a platform to be able to converse with you and tap into your thoughts, your experience, right? And I think that what fascinates me that this, AI breakthrough or having access to AI digital version of you will have people or give people access to deeper knowledge, to conversations, to
Correct.
thoughts that you won't just get because you don't have a platform, right? And you would be able to hang out with the people that you want based on your interest with the best people in the space, right? You would be able to hang out with you, with the founder of YouTube, with Shazam, with others, right?
Exactly. So if I go to a corporation and do their annual sales meeting and give them a 2-hour seminar on sales, I'm going to charge them 40 or 50,000 euros. The same information is now going to be available for 10 or 20 bucks a week to somebody who wants to get better at sales. And actually more information than my 2-hour talk. You're going to have 1,000 hours of me in a pot someplace and ask me anything.
Tailored for you, specifically for where you are.
In a way, it won't be tailored if you sell building supplies as opposed to tailored for sales. But I'm going to make it funny. Like, I'm going to have things in there like, you're asking me this, what were you thinking? I mean, what are you doing when you go to it on a sales call? And I want it to be confrontational, not simply informational.
I saw, you obviously always been pioneering technology and, even when, having the very expensive production, good cameras, angle, professional light, you were doing that and you have that and you always kind of, push yourself to creating great content. And even in terms of even packaging, like creating a quality of product, right? When you go and listen to your books, the way you frame the books, you put them, structure, all the things, it's very nice looking. It's very stylish. It's very sort of like high end in terms of where you want to go with this. It's interesting that when we started this conversation, you lead right off with AI. Why this technology fascinates you and sort of why you decided to just jump on with this? And just generally, what's your relation with technology you always been like this, or like just going? And I saw in one of your books about, always seizing the opportunity, right? Like you need to be opportunistic and always good at it. So is this the motto? That's why you say, okay, this is the big new things. Can you share some thoughts on this?
Yeah. I don't consider myself a pioneer, or I don't consider myself a technologist. I'm an opportunist. And I look at what's available in the marketplace for me, and I think, okay, how can I convert this to something that will benefit me and benefit the people that I seek to inform? And that's why I jumped on AI, because I saw immediately what it could do. I had no idea. I'm not an AI person. I'm a salesperson. I'm a business person. And I looked at it and I said, oh, this is what's next. I give a speech, Michael, and the title of my speech is What's Now, What's New, and What's Next. It's intriguing to anybody. And I talk about the circumstance and how you can get deeper into a subject. And I talk about why salespeople are mostly unprepared for sales talks, because they don't know what's now. And what's now means I have to be prepared in terms of a customer, not in terms of my marketing department. My marketing department are a bunch of useless people that think their name and the color of their logo matters more than the ability to build a relationship. So I'm anti-marketing unless the person's real. You have to be non-bullshit. You have to, when I tell salespeople, if marketing gives you a slide deck, give it back to them. Tell them to go out and make 5 sales and report their findings. And they can't do it. It's a bunch of bullshit. Well, this is, we need this, we need that. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need to provide value. And if I don't perceive any value, I'm not going to buy it. Plain and simple. If it's we, I don't care about you at all. I care about me and my kids and my car and my vacation in Paris. I'll spend 3 weeks there. One of them will be working and 2 of them will be writing. I'm going to write at the desk of Ernest Hemingway, which is in Shakespeare and Company on the left bank. And it's a thrill, it's an honor, and it's an opportunity. And I'll have some bread and a little cheese, and I'm there and I'm involved. I'm soaking in the moment so that I can take full advantage of it. In the morning, I wake up, I go outside, I'm in Paris. It's raining. I don't give a shit. I'm in Paris.
Yeah.
It's cold out. I put on a coat. But I can go places, and I'm reminded every time I go someplace of my mother. Because if I go into a shop and I say, hey, I'd like a da-da-da-da-da, the person will go, bonjour. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot to say hello. In Paris, if you don't say hello, in France, if you don't say hello, they don't want to talk to you.
Right.
You start your conversation with manners.
Yeah, right. How are you? Yeah. Like hello means there something, right? Like it's at the beginning of the conversation. Oh, just hi, how are you?
It's huge. It's huge. And it's just one word. Bonjour. I'm sure if you go into Tel Aviv, it's shalom. But in America, we can skip that. Like I'll be standing in line at a Starbucks in New York City, and it's my turn because they greet me with the word next. Okay, so I go up and I go, hey, how's it going? And they go, what do you want?
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
cold.
Rude.
Cold.
Yeah.
And it's not rude. It's just matter of fact. That's how they are. They're busy. What do you want? I'll just double espresso. They don't understand that it has anything to do with politeness, because there's a long line of people and they're all rude. They're all fine with it. No one cares.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I still like the service, right? Like whenever I'm traveling somewhere in Europe, when I go to a good restaurant, I love when the waiters and just generally everyone that I work with or everyone that serves me always have that personal touch that they wanted to make my day great, and it
Yep.
starts with the coffee, right? And it's just
Here's the deal. They are proud to serve. In America, we serve with disdain.
mm,
We don't really want to serve. We just want to make money. And they don't understand that service is the base of it.
yeah.
If you go to a hotel in Paris that's big and they have a houseman on each floor, if you go to the houseman to get more towels, the houseman will look at you, assume you're American, and say, "Welcome to my floor. How can I serve you?" I'm like, what? You're almost shocked
Yeah.
by the service.
Yeah. I love the restaurants that are like local in small villages. I just came up from Greece, and when we were traveling through islands, when you always see that there's always an owner of the restaurant, a
Yeah.
proprietor who you take orders from you, who brings you the check, and who can recommend you on your menu, but they always argue with you. It's like, can we do this few salads? Yeah, I don't know, too much salads. No, you should try this and this and this and that.
Yeah.
But in this manner, like you feel like, okay, that guy or that woman was raised here. They work here. They're proud to serve the community. They know that their place is the best they can do. They enjoy it, and they sort of like transfer that like culture, knowledge. They just kind of, be proud of thing, and it's less transactional. And, obviously you enjoy this feeling more and more. So
It's very rare in this country. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And one of the restaurants I go to is a place called Dolce. It's an Italian restaurant run by Italians. And the lady who runs the restaurant is also the chef. And we've become friends over the years, and I love going there because she'll bring the food out to you and seat people. It's a small restaurant, maybe seats 50 or 60 people, and she's the queen of the place. There's nothing better than that. And the place is mobbed because the food is quality, the prices are reasonable, and the atmosphere is phenomenal.
In Italian, you call this caratteristico locale, right? It's like very, very nice atmosphere. It's like very Italian and like that. I always, whenever I go somewhere, I'm trying, if the restaurant has an open kitchen, I'm trying to sit in front of the open kitchen, because in this way you always can glimpse into how the magic is created, but also you can get and have a chat with the chef, with the people that are working there. It's so nice. You always can make conversation and ask like, hey, why did you create food like this? What is it for? Like, where did you travel? And then you can understand not necessarily just what you eat, but also the whole history of how, the whole product that you have access to right now was created, right?
In America, it's called the chef's table. And you can eat in the kitchen. It costs a fortune to eat in the kitchen. It costs twice as much to eat in the kitchen. But in New Orleans, where they serve, Cajun sort of French food, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The Greek guy is probably a little overweight, and there are very few thin chefs, but they know food. And it's interesting also. We have names for things here in America, and we name it usually by the country. Danish pastry, Greek salad, Chinese food. But when you're in China, they don't call it Chinese food. They just call it food because you're already in China.
Right.
The same in Greece. They don't call it Greek salad. They just call it salad. And
right. But they put it a Greek salad just for everyone to know that this is a salad that you mean like as a Greek, right? So that it has all the ingredients.
Exactly. But it's kind of fun, and I love to be in a restaurant where the waiter is proud to be there.
Yeah.
Anywhere
in
France,
it's for every Yeah, I think it's for every profession, right? I think like you should be proud with whatever profession you do, right?
Of
And you should
course.
be the best in that profession. And
Of
it
course.
doesn't matter whether you're sales or you're marketing. I think like just people just forget that every profession matters, and then the whole organization and the whole community and society works only when everyone is doing their best in their profession, and every profession is great. It's the
So let me share the secret with you. The secret is there's two kinds of people who work in a place. Some who work there because they love it. Some who work there because it's good money. That person I don't want to talk to. But the guy or the woman that loves it, that's the person I want to talk to, because they have the passion, they have the desire, they have a service heart. But the person who's doing this for money, they're very matter of fact and sometimes even rude or defensive about their crap.
Yeah.
It happens a lot here, less in Europe. People are more traditionalists. But the secret is, Michael, you have to love what you do.
Yes.
If you don't love what you do, it will show. And if you love what you do, it will show.
Yeah.
I would also tell you now, I've been going to Paris for decades, literally decades. My favorite place to go in the world, even more favorite than New York. But over the last 10 years, maybe 20 years that I've been going, the same people work in the same store literally forever.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if they love it or they hate it, but they're there.
Yeah.
And when I show up, which is maybe once or twice a year, it's like I'd never left. Oh, bonjour, comment ça va? Yeah, you know, it's, you know, it's some business owners who I've known for 20 or 30 years, we hug. And I haven't seen them in a year, and no time has passed. It's like I was just there last week.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of relationship you have to have in sales. Can you maintain that friendship, however far away it is, however distant it is, because they know you're a person of humor, you're a person of ethics, you're a person of value, and you're a person that they just want to hang around with you. When you have that, you win.
Yeah. But obviously, you know, it's not something that, it's something you need to work on, right? It's not given, right?
Oh,
you
yeah,
cannot
every
just
day.
have that. It's a hard work and it's a consistent hard work every day, and it always comes through the years of hard work. It's not something that you can just do. Oh, he's a great, emotional intelligence, smart guy, bright, I love him. But if without hard work and consistency, this is gonna pass. And then we see people like this, or salespeople like this, changing products, changing profession, not hitting their quota, whatever. And then, but there are some people that
blaming somebody else for what happened.
Yeah.
So let me give you the second half of the secret. You have to love what you do, and you have to love yourself. You love yourself, and you love what you do, then the bathroom mirror in the morning is your best friend. If you don't love yourself and you don't love what you do, the bathroom mirror is your enemy, because you have to come face to face with who you are and where you're going.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't give shit to yourself every time now and then, right?
No,
and
but
put yourself
find
in
something
discipline,
that you
right?
love to do and then go fucking do it.
Yeah.
I mean, life is short. Years go by. My dad said, son, days and weeks go very slowly, but years fly by.
Oh, yeah.
And so you look at where you're going to be 5 years from now, that time is going to pass very quickly. Do what you love.
Quickly.
Do what you love. You know, I wake up in the morning, I'm the happiest guy on the planet. I get to do what I love every day. Every day. Do I do it the best? Most of the time, but not all the time. My biggest room in my home is the room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
That's my big room. And so I have a huge library that inspires
Right.
me to learn more, to earn more. It's an
You
inspirational
know,
thing.
I agree with you that every person should do what they love and what they're passionate for. But I also think that people sometimes are mistaken with the fact that, oh, I've been in a graphic design or in sales so long time. I don't know. I want to move forward. I want to try something else, etc. Because I lost passion or I lost something, or like, hey, I don't want this product. I want that product. So, when someone asked me, hey, Michael, what do you want to change in your career or in your company, whatever? I said, like, you know what? I am enjoying what I have right now and I won't change it to whatever because I'm doing the best thing I could. And if I change the product and I'll be selling cars or selling the rockets or selling, I'll be as happy as I am right now and so as fulfilled because it's not about the actual service or product. It's about the motion and about attitude and about who you are, with whom you're doing this, and what value you create for the world, for yourself. And sometimes people, mistaken this with some roadblocks that are like it's like, hey, clients are churning or quota's not hitting or something like that. But if you change that, it's not gonna fix your mindset, right?
It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to fix anything. You have to first fix yourself. Then you can start fixing other things and other people. It makes me sad when I see someone who's not happy or blaming, but I don't dwell on it. I just move on.
Yeah.
It's, there's not enough time or money to fix the world. I can only fix myself.
I want to lead to another topic. It's a broad question to begin with, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Through my research, studying your books and content you put out, I got the feeling you are on a kind of a mission. Is there any mission you're on, Jeffrey, for yourself or?
I am on a mission. Once you pass a certain age, your mission changes. You instead of running down the mountain, you want to walk down the mountain. Instead of running up the mountain, you want to walk up the mountain. And whatever I do, I think long term rather than short term. So I'm on a mission to provide consistent, savable, usable value. That's my mission. And I have to be very careful in blurting things out. I have to breathe and think, how's this going to affect the other person long term? So my mission is going to be real and be yourself. Dale Carnegie's mission is be yourself. Oscar Wilde's mission was be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. And it's much more realistic.
Yeah.
Whatever you think about Oscar Wilde, it's for people that have never been to his gravestone at Père Lachaise in Paris. It's unbelievable. It's Art Deco and people write on it in lipstick.
Yeah.
It's the most graffitied headstone in the world. Also in Père Lachaise is Gertrude Stein, who is arguably was the woman of authors and writers in the 1920s and 30s and even 40s. And if you're Jewish and you are buried in a cemetery, when someone comes to visit you, they put a pebble on the top of your gravestone. Gertrude Stein's gravestone in Père Lachaise has this much pebbles.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So you need to go to that.
It's a great cemetery to walk. So if anyone that listening to this never been to the cemetery in Paris, the one that Jeffrey just mentioned, go ahead and do that travel. It's amazing.
Yeah, Jim Morrison is buried there. Very famous people are buried at Père Lachaise. It's temptation for me.
What are the top 3 people that you inspired or that inspired you? I know Yeah, I wanted to today obviously dedicate a few minutes on talking, about your book, Get Shit Done, right? And you've quoted a lot, Martin, right? But maybe we can go back on that later. So while you're on the subject matter and you brought up a few names, so are there any like top three names that comes to your
Yeah,
mind that
there
sort of like
are.
just kind of,
There are. Alive, I was inspired by Jim Rohn. Went to many of his weekend seminars because I saw how many people he inspired. And so I thought, oh, I can do that. And I got to speak on the same platform the same day as Jim Rohn. Very inspirational for me, very fulfilling for me to know that I qualified. Dead people who I never met who inspired me were Earl Nightingale, who did The Strangest Secret, Napoleon Hill, who did Think and Grow Rich, Dale Carnegie, who did How to Win Friends and Influence People and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Those people were, and they are very prolific in my library. I have all kinds of books signed, first editions, you name it. Living people, not as much. I have mentors who were businessmen, businesswomen, who were very influential to me by what they said and what they did. Harvey Mackay, who wrote Swim with the Sharks, has been like a dad to me for 25 years. And we talk weekly, minimum weekly on the phone. He's 90. And pray to God, when you're 90 years old, you're that fluent and you're that alive. Pray to God. So there's a whole element of process here that's just absolutely unbelievable if you expose yourself to it. Jim Rohn said, all the information you need to succeed in the world already exists. The problem is you haven't exposed yourself to it. And most people drink beer and watch Netflix.
Stupid shows on Netflix. Yeah, stupid shows on Netflix.
And there's plenty of them.
Have you always been this curious? Have you always been so fascinated by stories? And what time you start building your library, like seriously building it up? You mentioned you have a huge library at home.
Yeah, my mom always gave me books. You have to read this. You have to read this. You have to read this. And my parents were always reading. Sometimes novels, sometimes self-education books. But both of my parents were students. My mom was actually a teacher in the Army. But my dad was a businessman who always was looking to get a leg up, to do a deal, to get something done, to sell something. So I learned from that environment in my family. And all the people who came to visit us also owned their own business. Even if they were doctors or lawyers, they had their own practice. So
Right.
that's the environment that I grew up in. And I just assumed that's what I would evolve to. And I was correct. But I did it with more intensity. In the early days of my growing up in the 50s and the 60s, people were in business, but the competition was not as fierce as it is now. Competition now is at the moment and fierce. And everything is becoming more sophisticated. Unfortunately, there's a lot of not misinformation or disinformation, just stupid information. People that claim to be knowledgeable that have never had a real job or written a book. One of the things I told you to go to it's actually augmentschool.com and see these people that are talking about how they built their business. That's what I want to know. That's golden information. I want the education from people that have done it. I want the education from people that have lived it. I want the education of people that have banked it. Because if you can bank it, if someone's willing to give you $1 billion for what you built, that's the guy I want to talk to. That's the guy I want to sit at the feet of and learn from. Maybe they were lucky, but one of my mentors said, Jeffrey, hard work makes luck. Oh, I live by that. I literally live by that. Because every day I wake up and I work my ass off. People may not agree with me, but no one can say that I don't work my ass off. and let people say exactly the same about you, whatever you do. Great guy works his ass off. Great woman works her ass off. That's the person I want. I don't need a lazy guy. Well, they don't pay me enough to work harder. Go someplace. You don't love what you do.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like when people say, what can I get if I do this? Or
Right.
I wasn't told that I can do this, or some other bullshit that honestly, if you see the problem and you can solve that problem. Yeah.
They make excuses and they blame.
Yeah. I always was, before even I started my company, I was always the guy who opened an office and closed the office, and I owned zero equity on the company. And they always, were complaining to HR about, do something with this Michael sales guy. He gives shit about product, about design, about office, about whatever. And he always like doing things. And I was just kind of not purist, but I thought that, hey, if I'm doing this, then this is all part of me. This is my life. And I wanted everyone to be the best of what they have. Right. And just,
of course,
I think that this is one of the best skills that a founder could have. It's the skill when everyone around you wants to be the better version of themselves around you, right? Like they know that they need to be always at their A game. And it's by definition. It's not something that you tell them to do that. It's like they feel with every energy that they get that, oh, I should be prepared. I should be better. And that's the people you want to be around with, right? Like that makes you like that. You mentioned Napoleon Hill as one of the people or books or that inspired or changed or help you in certain phase of your life. So I want to understand, you as a person, whenever you go through a certain phase or certain like motion, you always had, or you look specifically for someone to mentor you or to help you that way, or you, right?
You may not look at it as mentor. You may look at it as help. I need help. And I'm going to seek, so I'm going to find somebody or someone will present themselves to me that will help me. There's the old saying is when you're ready, the teacher will come. I don't know that that's true, but I've had gifts from the gods or whoever. People just show up in my life that are valuable to me. And I'm a very close follower of Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. And she says there's two kinds of people. You may look at them as givers or takers. She looks at them as givers or looters. Someone that comes in and just ravages what you have. And most governments are looters. They want to collect taxes. They want to give you laws and burdens and all the shit that goes with it. And many of them are not honorable people. So I try my best to be a nice citizen, but avoid that shit. It's all a blame, though it's that guy's fault. I did nothing wrong. It's all his fault. So I can't live in that world because I take responsibility for what I do, and I take responsibility for what I say, and I take responsibility for what I write and what I teach. You have to.
It's interesting that you've mentioned, and you're so open about seeking for help, asking advice, bouncing thoughts on someone else, growing those relationships. And, if you can address, so, it's interesting the way it's a problem solving skill, because what I see in my work very often, when there is a problem or a task that people deal with, the first thing they do is start reinventing the bicycle. They're just thinking, brainstorming, sort of like just putting together, like trying something else. But very often you also can research. So I think like the research and just solving obviously the question that you are asking yourself or the problem that you have, someone already had the same problem in the past and solved that problem, right?
History will teach you an awful lot. You want to know where it came from, where it started, and what's been done about it so far. There's a fallacy, though, and there's a danger. You can't meet a smart person and say, will you be my mentor? I have a lot of mentors. I've earned every one of them by providing them value.
Mm-hmm.
If you have somebody in your life that you want to help you, then the best thing you can do is help them. What can you do that this person desires, needs, wants, whatever, in order to be able to make all those things happen? That's the deal. That's the real deal. And in order to be able to do that, you have to have wisdom. You have to be a student. You have to study the people that you love, and you'll be able to figure out ways that you can help them.
Throughout this conversation, you mentioned give value. The first time we met, you told me, Michael, you don't create value, you give value. It's not about creating value.
You don't add value, you give value.
Can you explain? Right. Can you explain?
Yes. Value is a word that all by itself doesn't have the same meaning as it does if you put something in front of it or something after it. So salespeople have a value proposition, which is pretty much bullshit if it has the word we in it, because value is about giving, not taking.
Mm-hmm.
But I've defined value with the word perceived in front of it. Perceived value is something that if I'm offering you something and I think it has value, but you perceive that it does not have value, then it's worthless. It's useless.
Right.
So perceived value is what I seek to transfer. My job is transfer perceived value to the other person. And it's interesting. You also have to be perceived as being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to be able in today's world to present social truth of who you are and what you do. So perception is a huge element in the science of selling.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm perceived as a person of value and I'm perceived as a person who's truthful and I got a great reputation, I have a shot at business. Because someone's going to Google me in today's world. That's the first thing people are going to do. You're going to put your name into Mother Google and talk about you. It's part of, it's just so elementary that salespeople think they need to sell. No, they need to provide value to the other person so they buy. Value way beyond the price. You don't have to worry about price if the value's there. That's why Mercedes-Benz sells a lot of cars.
When we compare this to, I'll say like semantics of creating, adding value, and then or value proposition, and then value delivery, value providing, right? Is there any way I can see the difference in terms of? So I'm trying to understand, how do I change value creation or value proposition to value giving in terms of not just the semantics, but also the whole approach? Should I just, I don't know, talk differently?
Let's talk about another perception. You just mentioned it. Perceived difference. If I can differentiate myself from my competitor, not compare to, differentiate from. Differentiation is value. Compare is price. So I need to be able to prove to you that my difference is real to you. If I only think it, it may not be there. But if you tell me, wow, this is different, this is better, I've won. I have won. But I have to make sure that I'm sincere in my offering to you. I have to make sure that I'm truthful in my offering to you, or I'm not going to win. Because you're going to read me. You're going to look at me and go, yeah, this guy's solid. I can trust this person. And I like this person. So I want to be likable. I got to be likable. If I'm not likable, I'm screwed. If you don't like me, you're never going to have me again. This guy was a jackass. I can't have him again. Correct?
Yes.
But we've spent under 3 hours together in our lifetimes, and we're already friends. because we're down the same path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can relate to another
Yeah.
person. Yeah. The example about like value proposition, I was thinking about my company, and if you talk about Belkins as the appointment setting agency, then the value proposition is, hey, we generate appointments, we can outsource your SDR, and this is the whole value proposition. But then value delivery, or what you actually need from it, is like, hey, we can drive 100 leads for you right now for a fraction of the cost, or hey, we can solve this problem. And then you're like, oh, well, it's different. So he talks exactly what my problem is and just generally what value they can provide. I want that value, right? He's not talking about his value proposition, but he's talking about the value that he can provide. And then
Correct.
He has the social proof of that value.
Okay, so I'm going to find out where I stand with that person, not by telling them who I am, but by asking them questions. So, for example, rather than say, I can provide 100 leads for you,
mm-hmm.
I would say, how much does one lead cost you right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's two answers to that. I don't know, or about 50 euros. Think about that. The person that doesn't know is an idiot. The person that says 50 euros studies his business or her business and
mm-hmm.
knows it exactly. And so
mm-hmm.
now I know which path I have to take by asking a question rather than pontificating on something that I may be going down the wrong trail.
Mm-hmm.
I can provide leads for you at less than 100 euros. No, they only cost me 50 right now. What's the biggest objection that your salespeople have? How many of your salespeople
mm-hmm.
didn't make their quota last month? Why didn't they? Well, what caused them to make that happen? And
mm-hmm.
How many of them complain that the leads are no good? Why are the leads no good? Are they bad at selling, or are they really bad leads? So these are questions that when I put a decision maker on the spot to answer these questions, it becomes valuable to me to get those answers. Very valuable, because that's where I have to go. So before I say a damn word, I ask. You know why we got on the subject of Ukraine the first time we talked? I asked you.
Yeah, you asked me. Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
And that immediately created that bond. Why doesn't
you had
everyone...
a unique value proposition. You had a unique value proposition that no other people have. Your grandparents came from Ukraine, so your last name, I know people don't realize, but your last name is actually Ukrainian last name. It's the name of the city, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So there's a city called Jitomer in Ukrainian,
exactly,
near Kiev. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm looking at what we have in common so that we can move forward. Right. And mm-hmm. people don't understand that. And Wyatt, my friend and mentor, the NLP guy, after I had given a whole thing on what do you have in common and what do you, how do you establish a rapport with somebody, he said, Jeffrey, take it deeper. I said, what do you mean? He said, you don't want to know what you have in common. You want to understand shared values. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
And our Ukrainian background is a shared value because we know oppression, we know government manipulation, we understand heritage, and all those things relate to one another in a way where we win together as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna fight over the check when we're in Paris. Fight over it, and you can win, but
I will probably.
Yeah, but here's the bottom line. We want to meet, and oftentimes a salesperson tries to force the meeting.
Mm.
No good. And then the other guy doesn't show up for the meeting, especially on Zoom. And let me leave you with this one idea. In America, everybody drinks a K-cup. In Europe, everybody drinks an espresso.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a machine in their home.
Yeah,
some
with
kind
espresso. Yeah, yeah.
okay. If I'm going to meet with you, before the meeting, I'm going to send you a sleeve of your favorite Nespresso, and I'm going to send you a mug of something about you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I send you a Ukrainian map on a mug and your favorite Nespresso. Are you going to miss that meeting? No. You're going to be at that
No.
meeting 100%.
Yeah.
And you're going to have the mug with you. You'll have the mug
Yeah.
that I sent you, and that's got your coffee inside of it. So there's a way to earn that right as opposed to beg for it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do by sending you an espresso and sending you a mug, it tells me I understand you. I know you. And I'm comfortable with putting myself out in front of you.
Yeah, but also you put work, right? You put time, you put you put attention, and it's worth, right? Because right now a lot of things are transactional, automated, right? And then when you see there's someone else that actually understands and values you and put work into this, and it's important for that person, then you always reciprocate, right? And say, you know what, absolutely, I would want that as well. Now, I think I wanted to close up with this question that's sort of like something that for me I want to understand personally from you. We talk about mentorships. Now we talked about how to build this relationship, how to show, value, and we always we talked about how to hang out with the best people. So do you have any tips for me on how to surround yourself with the best people, how to hang out with the best people? What have you done in your life to be able to build up that network? Obviously, it takes time, it takes effort, but do you have any 1, 2, 3, 4 for me, Michael? Here's what you can do.
Yes.
To be in that environment.
Yes. First of all, you have to identify who you want to be in front of.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet Jim Rohn. I want to meet Harvey McKay. I want to meet Wyatt Woodsmall. Well, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes God puts you there. But the other times you have to give or provide something that they might find or trip on or search for. Where's the value in the messages that you're providing so that someone might find you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know Seth Godin, correct?
Right.
Okay. He knows me.
Mm-hmm.
He knows me because of what I write. So if I call Seth Godin on the phone, he'll take my phone call because of mutual respect. So you have to create mutual respect in order to be able to get someplace and not go into a meeting and be a weakling. What's the value that you're bringing to the marketplace that other people will understand? And so you don't just provide leads, you help people grow their business by helping them facilitate a sale. That's a real value. That's a measurable value. Because if I have a lead, I don't know if I can convert that lead. So I want to make sure that I'm going to find the person in the middle, someone like me, that can help make that sale and convert that lead into a sale so that you become the hero. Like, hey, Bob, I know I'm providing you leads, but do you know Jeffrey Gitomer? He can help you turn those leads into a sale. He can? Well, how do I get a hold of him? Oh, I'm a friend of his. Why don't I just... Let's meet on text. Let's have a Zoom, a three-way Zoom, not just a referral, but a three-way meeting. This is, look, here's how I generate leads. Here's what Jeffrey can do for you to create questions so that when you get the lead, you actually can convert it. And none of your salespeople are going to say it was a lousy lead. There are lousy salespeople. There's no lousy leads. There are no lousy leads. It's a lead.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to answer the question.
That's true.
So that's the challenge. There in the middle are people that you can help that will lead you to others that you want to meet, or maybe lead you to that very person. If you're not giving out value, if you're not putting yourself in the marketplace, if you're not a person of value, if you're not writing valuable things, you're not going to get found. And you're going to be a beggar.
Mm-hmm.
I had a luncheon meeting with a young speaker. Other speakers have helped me a lot. I somehow befriended them and they gave me advice. They just invaluable things that I'm grateful for. So I try to pass it on. And one day someone asked me for lunch to help them with their speaking business. And I said, sure. So I meet this young kid and he goes, where's the money in the speaking business? And I said, I don't know. This is what I did. I figured out what I loved. I wanted to get to be the best at it. And I started to give speeches about it and the money just showed up. And he said, yeah, but where's the money? Wasn't even listening.
Yeah.
I gave him the message. Do what you love,
Right.
get to be best at it, and the money will show up.
I didn't touch based on a lot of things, a lot of ideas, a lot of books, but I think we grasp a few things very well, and that's going to be a start for this episode. And I think that if listeners are going to vote for us to have another conversation, they like my questions, they would definitely like your answers. But
so here's the deal, Michael.
We're going to do this second.
Give this to your audience. We'll do this again.
Yeah. And talk about something else. Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining me today for this incredible conversation. I appreciate you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you.